we're going to do things a little bit different in the mornings. Just a few minutes spending here before you go out to your team times. I just want to make a couple of comments, and then each morning what we're going to do is I'm going to interview somebody. Hopefully then we'll get someone to tell a little bit about their journey with the kind of things that we talked about last night. So last night we talked about this idea of sincere faith, and that it's important for us to actually make the decision. Are we going to do this or not? Right? That's pretty much what I was trying to say. Is, there's no point doing it half. You've got to get to that point where you say, am I going to do this? I'm going to do it sincerely. Now, if you got the impression last night that the only thing you're going to see in the mirror is an insincere faith, I apologize for that. That's not really what I was trying to do. There are some of you here today, lots of you here today, even though your faith is small and it's, stepping along, that's still sincere. This isn't about having a perfect faith. This is about having a faith that's sincere, right? That really wants to go the distance. That doesn't mean you're not at baby steps. It just means the kind of attitude or motivation that you have is the important thing, okay? Now, what I want to do is I've asked Jacob to come, and we're going to talk a little bit about his experience with this idea of sincere faith. And I'm going to stop talking in a minute. I'm going to ask you, Jacob, thanks for being here. Why don't you just tell us, what was that moment when you kind of went, I really got to do something about my faith?
Yeah, okay. So I guess for me, growing up, all through high school, I was a Christian, or so I thought. I believed in God. I went to church, and I thought that was all I had to do, I guess, which can be common for many people. But for me, there was still, I guess, this void in my life, and I kept searching in different areas for it. And for me, I just kept searching, I guess, in the ways of the world. So, for instance, alcohol and drugs and just different things like that, because there was still this void that I was trying to fill. And for myself, just out of high school, I got to this point where I just didn't see the point in living anymore. I was done. I felt like I was too far-fetched, right? I felt like I was too far gone for God to do anything with me or to be able to use me in any way. And so I actually overdosed on some drugs, trying to commit suicide, just because I didn't see a way out. Anyway, the next morning I woke up in the hospital room. I had some doctors around, and there was this lady in the corner of the room, and she came to me. I asked who she was, and she said that she'd found me in the park the night before, as I'd overdosed. And she'd brought me to the hospital, and she came over and she placed a Bible by my side, looked me in the eye and said, "You've got so much more to live for." And in that moment, that for me was the mirror moment. That was the moment that mirror just appeared in front of me, and I was like, man, this faith that I had, it wasn't really faith. It was this belief in God, but that was it. It was just this belief in God. There was no faith there. There was nothing on my part there. And I was just overwhelmed with tears, and in that moment, I was like, no, this is... The number of tablets that I took that night before, I should be dead. But there's a reason that I'm here, and that's because Jesus loves me. He's got a plan for me. And that's when I was like, no, I've got to take this seriously. I've got to be sincere in this. Yeah.
So what are some, like a very poignant and hard story. So if I just want to sort of acknowledge that if you're struggling with anything along these lines, right, even now, please don't hesitate to talk to someone about this, okay? You've got your leaders. They love you. They care about you. They want to help you, okay? Now, let's just go for, what did you do then? You went like, okay, I've got to get sincere about it. What are some of the things you did to sort of, get things back on track, I suppose?
Yeah, I guess so. The immediate thing I did was open the Bible that she gave me, and I didn't actually run this by you, but I do want to share. The first verse I read, and I'll never forget it, actually comes from Romans 12. And it says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behaviors and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. Because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning: don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us. Just as our bodies have many parts, and each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. And that for me was that idea, once again, of that mirror. I was measuring myself, I guess, on the wrong scale. It's measuring myself on what was my faith. Was it sincere? Was it genuine? Or was it just in my own being? And then I guess from there, so that was, I guess, the immediate thing I did. I jumped into the Word. But from there, it was reaching out to people around me. It was reaching out to a community, particularly, I guess, older men that had gone before me, had a lot more experience and wise counsel and wisdom. And that was one thing I did, is I just continually met with people and just lent on other people. Because I had my own problems. I had so much going on in my life. And I guess that was, like, if I can encourage you, it's to, as Lex said before, if you're struggling with anything, actually reach out to people. Like your leaders, they care so much, they love you so much. The chaplains, any of the exec. But that's what I did. I reached out, I sought wisdom and counsel from others, and I just got connected in the Word.
So, I mean, that's great advice to those who are, thinking, what do I do about being sincere? Have you got any other things you'd say to anybody here today who's kind of, in a sense, not exactly like you, but on that position where they're going, I'm not sure about my faith. I don't know, is it worth keeping going? Is it worth ditching? What's the point? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was once told, during, I guess, the season where I was questioning my faith, I was told, if I'm wrong about God, sorry, I'm just trying to remember it now.
Well, I can imagine what it might be, something along these lines. Well, if you're, if God's not real, right, then in a sense you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and that's exactly right. It's like, actually, if I am wrong about God, I've actually lost nothing, right? Life's still the same as it was before. I haven't lost anything. But if I'm right about God, I've got eternity with Him. I've got everything to look forward to. And I guess that's my encouragement. It's like, you've actually got nothing to lose. And so, yeah, I'd encourage you, just if you're questioning, just say yes. Like, just step into that. Speak with leaders, speak with friends, speak with those older than you in your church, your pastors, and just give it a go, and from my personal experience, like, He will show up. He will show up, He will prove Himself to you time and time again if you just give Him the chance.
Awesome. So thank you for sharing with us. And just a reminder, this is what we're talking about, sincere faith. You're going to have a time now in your team times to even explore this for yourself, to perhaps, even, I encourage you, this is not the time to be dishonest. You've got this opportunity where you can just say, this is how it really is for me, right? That's the best place to be, right? Because otherwise it's like a barrier. Let the barrier go. Open up your hearts. Chat with your fellow teammates. Listen to your leaders. Let them know where you're really at. They can pray with you. They can help you. We're looking for sincere faith. Tonight I'm going to share a little bit about some of those steps you can take to fan that faith into flame, some of the things you can do. And so I encourage you to be there. You guys are over to Adam, and I think it's time to get you going.
Yeah, give him a round of applause. Thanks for sharing.